I'm often told by people that they want to make more money. And the first question I always ask them is really, how much money do you want to make? And very few people can give me an answer to that question right off the bat. Usually once they figure out how much, the next question is, great, what will you do if you actually get it? And then there's another long silence. I don't think I need to tell you that the world is littered with stories of people that have made enormous amounts of money and are still miserable, or people that have won the lottery only to be broke 4 or 5 years later. Money just typically isn't the answer to all of your problems, and oftentimes when people start telling me why they want to make more money, it's because they want to do a different job. And so the reality is, it's not money that is the problem, it's the way they're getting the money that's the problem. And so oftentimes we start looking towards what it is they really would rather be doing versus the amount of money it is. The other challenge people run into when it comes to money is they often cap themselves internally. And what I mean by that is, let's say your life is very hectic right now and you're running ragged and you don't feel like you have a time to accomplish anything else, right? And we talked about that with our time management. If you feel that there's no way for you to have more time to do anything differently and you're earning a certain amount of money, well, what do you think you equate to earning more money? That's right, you equate making your life even more chaotic and more hectic. And so what happens is internally you cap yourself at that number. And so the real important thing to think about is, what exactly is the amount of money you do want to make, right? What is it? Get clear on it. Is it $50,000? Is it $100,000? Is it $200,000? Is it $500,000? I don't know what that number is, but you've got to get very clear on it and then allow this process to work itself through. Are you in a position where you can earn that amount of money? Or does your position need to grow? Do you need to learn a new skill in order to be considered for that amount of money? Or is it, something different, right? Either way, money is typically the symptom of a different problem. So start figuring out what the real issue is and then move in that direction. Oftentimes, as we work through this, we find it's people's belief systems around money that really are capping them. For example, if you grew up in a household where your parents were constantly stressing about money, we don't have enough money for this, we can't afford that, there's no way we can do this. Well, what do you think your adult thought process is on money, right? You're going to be the same way. If you're constantly worried about debt, you're going to be focusing on debt, and consequently you're going to get debt. There's so many ways to think about money that once you start unraveling and figuring out that money is just a tool, it's just something that's there, it's something that you need. Yes, it's important. Yes, we need it to live our lives, but ultimately the way you view money determines how much you make, right? And I'll never forget, I learned a long time ago from a guy named Tracy, who's a brilliant, brilliant person, right? He's got great books. He said the amount of money you make is directly determined by the amount of value you create in the world. Finally, people always believe that, they wish for this amount of money, or they think, boy, I want $50,000 or $100,000. And then they believe that it's going to show up in the mailbox in the form of a check, right? And the reality of it is, the universe has an amazing way of working, right? In that it gives you typically what you want, but oftentimes it's not the way you expect, right? Oftentimes that $50,000 or $100,000 comes in the form of an idea or an opportunity that you're not aware of. The other limiting belief is exactly how we think about earning that money. For example, if we're only making $10,000 this year, right? And we say, well, I want to make $100,000. Well, it doesn't really matter how much you say it and how much you think you believe it, right? If any part of you internally says, boy, that's impossible, guess what? You can't fool the universe, right? You'll get exactly what you expect and what you feel is possible. So make sure that you've put some realistic expectations there, but don't sell yourself short as well.